is 2014, I'm a senior in high school, and I decided on Arizona State University as the college to pursue my degree in filmmaking. When I made my decision on ASU, I knew in the back of my mind I wanted to get involved with something or have some sort of job in film and not be a typical film student that said, I went to school for film and sure, I made a few movies with a few friends. I wanted to do something a lot bigger. I looked online and found a couple of places, but the one thing I wanted to do more than anything was work in the horror industry. At the time, I was revisiting the Traces of Death series for my YouTube channel, a series of 5 documentaries, which are films that include real death, real blood, and real gore. To sum it up, they're films not intended for the faint of heart or easily disturbed. When I got done with the first film, there was an ad at the end of the DVD for the Brain Damage fan club. The instructions on the DVD said mail in $30 to this specific address in Tempe, Arizona. Immediately, I paused the DVD, hopped right on my computer, and started sending emails to Brain Damage Films. A few days went by and I got no response, so I decided to call the owner of the company, Darren Ramage. Nobody answered the phone, so I left a voicemail pretty much saying, "Hi, my name is Steve, I'm from New York, I'm going to ASU in the fall, would love to get involved with Brain Damage Films in some way, please give me a call back." A few days went by and still no reply. Then one day when I was in school, I got a call from an Arizona number. In the back of my mind, I thought it's probably ASU wanting to talk to me. I went to my guidance counselor's office because she was the one helping me every step of the way with getting into ASU. So I knocked on her door and said, "I think I got a call from ASU, they left me a voicemail, could I listen to it in your office?" Being the cool guidance counselor she was, she closed the door and let me take out my phone to play the voicemail. I put it on speaker so we can both hear, and after 2 seconds of silence, I hear, "Hey Steven, this is Darren Ramage from Brain Damage Films." My face lit up and my guidance counselor then pressed pause on the phone and looked at me with a confused face, just tilting her head going, "Brain Damage Films?" After explaining to her what it was, we finished the voicemail and Darren was pretty much saying, "I got your messages, give me a call back, would like to talk to you." Fun fact, I still have that voicemail saved on my phone, I'll never get rid of it. When I got out of school, I called back the number and got in touch with Darren. I explained to him a little bit about what I wanted to do, telling him that I really wanted to get involved in film some way, and he pretty much told me what they do is not exactly on the production side, it's more of the business side of film, handling distribution, acquisitions, and marketing for independent horror films. Regardless, I told him I would still love to do something with the company, I would love to meet you when I get out to Arizona. Over the months, I would continue to email him, keeping him up to date of what I'm doing from graduating high school to moving out to Arizona. When I got to Arizona, I still didn't hear from him or anybody else from Brain Damage Films, so I kind of forgot about it for a while and focused more on school and just the assignments I was given. In October of 2014, I attended Phoenix FearCon, originally because Todd Sheets was going to be there for the premiere of his film House of Forbidden Secrets, and also a few people like Ken Foree and Mark Torgel were going to be there, and of course I wanted to meet them. The first booth I see when I walk into the gate is Brain Damage Films. I walked past the booth and saw 2 people I didn't recognize before, so I decided to walk along and, see if I can meet Ken Foree or Mark Torgel and eventually come back. Eventually, when I came up, I was greeted by one of the guys from Brain Damage and got to talking to him, telling him what I do, the reviews I do for YouTube, the fact that I reviewed all 5 of the Traces of Death films, and he pretty much told me, we really look for reviews in a lot of people. If you would like, we'll add you to our mailing list and you can review films for us. We'll send you 1 or 2 films every month. So I was thinking, that's pretty cool. I'll get some DVDs to cover, I'll get some more videos up on my channel. And he follows that up with, if you're really interested, maybe we could hook you up with an internship. Being the overly excited person that I am, I immediately said yes. He gave me his card and said, email me once you get some of the reviews done. Before leaving, he also gave me a few free DVDs. One was Bunnyman Massacre, which I was really excited to watch. One of their newer ones, Scavenger Killers, which he was hyping up a lot. And an older one called Schizo Necro, which is just a very bizarre shot-on-video film. When I got home, I shot my review for Bunnyman Massacre and decided to email him the link saying, it was nice meeting you, here's my review, hope to keep in touch. He emailed me back saying, thanks so much for the review, this is great, this is exactly what we look for, keep up the great work. By the way, are you still interested in an internship? I think it was probably 30 seconds from the time he emailed me to me emailing him back saying yes. So we agreed on a time 2 weeks later to meet at the office for an interview. When I got to the office, I was pretty nervous. I honestly thought I was at the wrong place, so I peeked my head in very slowly through the glass door and saw the logo for Brain Damage Films. When I approached the door, I immediately saw the owner, Darren, at the main table, and when I opened the door, he looked up at me and said, "Oh yeah, you're here for Reese. Yeah, he's in the back." Not sure if he knew who I was at the time, but I walked up to him and extended my hand and said, "Darren?" He shakes my hand and gives me a confused face and is like, "Yeah." And I tell him my name, Steve Ferrandino, say how you doing, and his face lit up. His reaction was pretty much, whoa, what's going on? At that point he remembered from the phone calls and the emails of who I was and was just speechless. After shaking hands, he guided me to the back where I met with Reese and Chris, two other employees of Brain Damage, and Reese gave me a full tour of the office, showed me where everything's at, showed me the computer setups, showed me the stock room, gave me a few other free DVDs, and brought me back into the main office. Now at this point I thought, okay, is the tour over? Am I gonna get this position? Am I gonna actually intern here? Or am I just gonna walk out with a few free DVDs? Because I was asked no questions about my experience and the stuff that I do besides reviewing films on YouTube. He sits me down at a desk, and the first and only question he asked me was, "So when can you start?" We agreed that I would start the following week, and the rest of the time there we pretty much just talked about what the company does, what some of the other employees do, and he also showed me some footage from their new release at the time, Crazy Murder. In my first month there, my main job was to send out orders and screeners for a lot of people that review our films. In that same time, probably around mid-January, is when I had my first official meeting with Darren. Now know this, I pretty much knew him and the work that he did, and he really didn't know much of me besides being this kid that came from New York and just ended up at his doorstep ready to work for him. We started talking, and the first thing he said to me was, "I got all of your calls and all of your emails from when you were still in New York, and every time I got them, the thing that was going through my head was, is this guy serious?" And the reason he said that is because a lot of people had emailed him and called him for years saying they want to come out and they want to work with Brain Damage Films. And always he said, "That's cool, would love to meet with you, let me know when you're in the area." He then pointed at me and said, "You are the only one that has ever come through." We then talked about a couple of other things, shook each other's hands, and went back to our regular work. Before I was going to move back to New York for the summer, the company decided to go out for dinner just for a night of fun. During dinner, me and Darren talked about some miscellaneous stuff and then asked the question, "When do you come back to school?" And I replied saying August. And here's one of the coolest things that any boss of any internship or any job in general would ever say to anybody. He answered me by saying, "When you come back, you know where to come. This place will always be your home." And that meant a lot to me, especially for an intern. For one reason, a lot of internships don't last for more than maybe a few months to a year, and then after that you either leave the company or possibly get a full-time job. I spent my full 4 years of college at Brain Damage Films learning something new, not only every year, but every month, every week, and every day. And let me tell you, it is very rare for anybody in not only the job field, but for an internship to be able to say that the people they worked with were like brothers and sisters, and the boss being more than a mentor, but like a second father. My senior year of college quickly came about, and the big question was continually going through my head on a daily basis. Do I stay out in Arizona and continue my work here, or do I move back to New York? It was not an easy decision. It was the most stressful decision that I've ever had to make. And my main focus wasn't even about a job. It was, do I leave one family and go back to another, or do I stay with one family and leave another one behind? But I had to weigh my excitement out with my own well-being and realize that being out in Arizona just wasn't the right choice for me. So I ended up making the decision to go back to New York. My main focus was, I know I'm leaving, but I'm gonna finish what I started. My last day at Brain Damage was definitely an emotional one. About an hour or two before I was gonna finish for the day and pack up all my belongings, Darren comes to my office and we talk about a couple business things, but what was really cool and just really weird of how it worked, it was almost like a TV show where they knew they were gonna get canceled and they knew that this was a season finale, so they reminisced on the past. And that's exactly what it was. Me and Darren were pretty much reminiscing over the day that I got there to where I was at now. Being the film that scared the living hell out of me as a kid, to being the film that made me discover Brain Damage Films and where it was at, to me getting this internship, I had to ask Darren if he can get the Brain Damage character to sign my box set of Traces of Death. And this will forever be the coolest and most special autograph that I own in my collection. My 4 years at Brain Damage Films were the most special, fun, and hard-working years of my life. The fact that I can tell people I developed a relationship with my boss for an internship, so great to go beyond calling him my boss, beyond calling him my mentor, but referring to him almost like if he was my second father, was a big deal and is still a big deal for me. And it's also pretty rare to see your own boss attend your college graduation. Brain Damage Films is my family, and it will always be my family.